Welcome to Deep Dive, the Seafood Source podcast where we dive deep into the latest trends, stories, and headlines shaping the seafood industry. I'm your host, Seafood Source content specialist Avery St. Onge. Today's episode will be part 2 of our series on solutions to the fish meal shortage, where we'll talk to a seafood supplier looking to change the way aquaculture farms feed their fish, and in the process, create a more sustainable future. But first, a quick message about our new membership program at Seafood Source. Imagine having insider knowledge at your fingertips every day. Seafood Source Premium gives you unlimited access to all Seafood Source articles, educational resources, and expert commentary so you can make smarter decisions faster. Upgrade to the Seafood Source Premium membership today by visiting seafoodsource.com/join and use promo code DEEPDIVE to tell us who sent you. Our guest today is co-founder of 2XC's Kenny Belove. Kenny, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So, to begin, can you just tell me about your background in the seafood industry and what kind of led you to where you are today?
Sure. So my background goes to a passion for fishing and sport fishing and all things ocean related. I was actually in the photography industry for 8 years prior to joining the world of seafood. I worked on a charter vessel out of the Berkeley Marina here in Northern California and was kind of watching the way people treated the oceans. Everybody only wanted to catch the trophy. And if it wasn't the trophy, they were okay with it being a dead fish that went into the bottom of the ocean because they wanted something larger. And I had a real big problem with that. So when Bill Foss and I had the opportunity to do Fish Restaurant in 2004, and in 2004, we weren't talking about sustainability the same way we are today. It wasn't kind of a common theme in restaurant language about sourcing. So I really feel like we kind of led that charge here in the Bay Area, where we wanted to know where every single one of our items on our menu came from, who caught it, how was it caught on purpose, was the gear method used to catch it something that could not only be sustainable today, but be sustainable for the future and be held accountable. And we built this restaurant that was based on this one common theme, which was sourcing fish from individuals who caught fish differently, respected the oceans, and respected the future of the planet.
When Kenny and his business partner Bill opened their restaurant back in 2004, sustainability was already on their radar. They followed seafood sustainability guidelines closely, but the more they learned, the more they wanted to push beyond the basics.
We thought that the fish that they were telling us to use were the fish we should use. And as we furthered our own knowledge of exploring different fisheries, different forms of aquaculture, we quickly learned that there are so many holes in what they were telling us to use. And aquaculture was one of the biggest ones because we were curious, how can you support aquaculture and not bring up what these fish are being fed and the source of where the feed is coming from? So that kind of spiraled Bill and I into this, what turned out to be a lifelong journey of trying to fix the wrongs of yesterday. And we're still going through fighting that good fight of trying to convince folks to put the correct things on their menu that give our planet a fighting chance to survive.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I think there's definitely a gap there of like aquaculture is sustainable and then what the fish are being fed isn't always talked about front and center. Well, tell me about McFarland Farms and the making of it and how you went about trying to develop a vegan fish feed.
So going back to that kind of early 2000s time period and doing a lot of research on existing aquaculture and learning that basically fish farms were feeding fish oil and fish meal that was coming from forage fish populations caught globally. As forage fish populations declined, poultry became a dominant source in aquafeed, which fascinated me as somebody who did not know very much about it back then. Why are we feeding chickens to fish? And why does nobody know about this? Right? When we walk into a grocery store and we pick up an item off of a shelf, there's an ingredient list. And we as consumers get to make a decision. Do we want to put these things in our body? Whether it's artificial dyes, high fructose corn syrup, too much sugar, too much this, too much that. But we get to see what's inside of these products and we get to consciously make a decision. But when it comes to the fish case and we see a beautiful side of farmed salmon, we look at that and go, wow, that's a beautiful piece of fish. I bet it's delicious. And we have no idea what that fish has been fed, what it's contaminated with, and there's no sign that points to, hey, this is what this fish has eaten, make a decision. So we decided, well, wait a minute, is it possible to farm a fish using 100% vegetarian diet where we don't depend on wild forage fish populations, where we don't depend on conventional poultry farms to give us blood meal, feather meal, bone meal, all the things that go into our current conventional aqua feeds? And we started calling. Bill took the lead on this and started calling every aquaculture permit holder in California. Hey, we've got an idea. Will you listen? Will we make more money? No, we don't know. Will the fish grow faster? We have no idea. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. Until David McFarland picked up the phone. And when David picked up the phone, he went, wow, I've never thought about it this way. Why don't you guys come up and we'll talk? So we came up in 2009 and met David and said we had this idea. And David said, well, look, these fish are my livelihood. David was in the business of stocking recreational fish for recreational fishing. So he wasn't willing to feed his fish an experimental diet, not knowing if these fish were going to live. Completely understandable. So we made a commitment to David that we would buy a certain raceway and we would do an experimental trial. At the same time, Bill had met Dr. Rick Barros, who had written incredible white papers on alternative aquafeeds and is kind of the champion over many decades of working on alternative aquafeeds. Bill got on the phone with Rick and said, hey, we've got an idea. And Rick said, oh, you have any idea what this is going to cost you? And we said, it doesn't matter. We want to prove a concept. And Rick said, yeah, I can formulate a diet that is animal protein free, and we'll see how it goes. So we formulated the first diet, we created it, we had it built, and we had it shipped up to David, and the trial began. And back then, we were only harvesting 300 pounds of fish a week, selling it all at our restaurant, and trying to prove a concept that a vegetarian raised fish could be done really well, and could be healthier not only for us, but the fish swimming in the raceways. So that was the kind of the initial start to how we met David, how we met Dr. Barros, and how this kind of crazy idea between two restaurateurs who had a restaurant in the Bay Area who wanted to do something different was born.
Hmm. And how did you go about developing the fish feed? How did you decide on the ingredients and what did those trials look like?
Sure. So Dr. Barros definitely took the lead on the formulations. We weren't going to try to pretend to know what we were talking about because we didn't. And Dr. Barros was our champion and the person who understood fish nutrition. And Dr. Barros has always said it's not the list of ingredients that's important. It's the nutrients that are critical. So if you build a formulation that has the right nutrients, it doesn't matter whether you're building it with fish oil, fish meal, or you're building it with algal fats like we are to create the same level of protein, carbohydrates, vitamins that all of us need to survive, including fish. So, as an example, the original diet had corn and soy. We quickly learned that because the trout's digestive tract is very short, that soy caused problems with waste in the raceways, the fish waste in the raceways. So we had to make adjustments in the moment to remove items or lower their quantities to figure out what was going to work well. So in the initial stages, 2009, 10, 11, there was lots of different formulations with different levels of ingredients until we finally, now in almost 2026, have landed to something that is really good, really solid, but it is a moving target. So we can replace our proteins with other animal-free proteins to achieve the same nutrition that we need for our fish.
Hmm. And these are just trout that we're talking about.
Yeah, so our main product is trout, and that's what we commercially harvest. We have done 100% vegetarian raised tilapia out of Oregon. The problem was is that the cost of that fish became so high that the market would not accept a tilapia at that price. We are currently working on a project to do a sturgeon feed, uh, and all of these things can stem from what we've done with our research on our trout steelhead.
And what are the costs of your feed now for the trout?
So our cost for the feed of the trout right now are coming in at about $1.60 a pound. It's considerably more expensive than conventional feed. I can't tell. I actually have no idea where conventional feed is right now. Back when we first started, conventional feed was around 80 cents a pound. So call it twice as much. I know conventional feed is up currently, and the ingredients have also changed in conventional feed. So again, I'm not the expert to speak on the conventional diets, but our feed is more expensive. But we are getting superior growth rates. So if you are spending a little bit more on the feed, but your growth rates are better, that's actually lowering the cost of the feed than the advertised sticker price because your growth rates are exceeding expectations.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot of farms are going to have to be switching to alternative feeds that don't involve fish meal because the prices are so high and there's this shortage. But I think a lot of people's worry is that those alternative feeds won't be quite as good. Would you say your feed is even better than like a traditional fish meal?
So if we're defining better by growth rate, yes. If we're defining better, which is where I go, to what's actually in the fish if you test the fish. So our fish is the only fish that we have tested, and we've tested it against many species, both farmed and wild, that has non-detect on methylmercury, no PCBs, no heavy metals, nothing bad. It is truly a superfood because we control the feed. We are not bioaccumulating anything that comes from the forage fish after it's turned into meal and oil. We're obviously not using conventional poultry. So it is the cleanest protein that you can put in your body. That I can say with certainty, and the tests to back that up. So again, if you're in that same grocery store and you're picking out a fish, if you want something that has nothing bad in it, our fish is the only one that we've tested it against. Um, I think that's in our kind of health conscious minds of wanting to take care of ourselves. That's an important characteristic to have. So I think our feed is outperforming conventional feed just in the health alone.
Right. Yeah, and when I was talking to Kevin Fitzsimmons from F3 last week, he was talking about how, his hope is to market these fish fed with alternative feeds as something like grass-fed beef, something that's kind of organic and elevated. How are you marketing it, and how is the customer feedback been? Because I think that a lot of customers aren't aware that, their fish are being fed feed that it might not be so great.
Sure. So I can say with a lot of certainty that the customer feedback after, it's funny, I'm saying this for the first time out loud in 17 years now, I guess, that we've been doing this. The customer feedback has been incredible. I mean, we service, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions, the best restaurants throughout the Bay Area, the best restaurants in Portland, Oregon. because we have a second location in Portland, Oregon for our wholesale distribution as well as retail. And we have been servicing these restaurants going on, 15 plus years now, where this product has been on these menus. And these chefs who are regarded as some of the best chefs in the world live and die by this product. This is something that does not leave their menu, which tells me that if we've got them bought in on the health benefits, the quality, the flavor, uh, the availability, the fact that it's only coming from a few hundred miles away from San Francisco, it's going quite well in our little bubble, right? We are the farmers, we're marketing, we're distribution, we're processing, we're delivery. So we are in complete control of this product, which also then limits our reach because we are just what we are, this kind of small Bay Area company that is, you know, trying to do big things.
Yeah. And you're in the Bay Area, and people there really value that kind of thing. And
Agreed.
other parts of the country might not
It would be a tough
quite as
sell.
much.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What has been the reaction of other fish farmers? Like, do you think that they are interested in going in the same direction?
So it's been mixed. We've gotten lots of phone calls from small boutique farms asking to buy our feed. The challenge, if you are just a fish farmer and not distribution, marketing, sales, is that you grow a product that you already sell to somebody, and you think you're doing quite well, and your company's doing well. So why would you want to incur a larger cost in feed when you already think what you're doing is great? Unless you're the one out there telling the story of, well, this is the difference. This is what you get with this product, and this is what you get with our product. It becomes a harder sell to sell into the traditional distribution chain where somebody from a fish farm calls a seafood company and says, hey, we're so and so farm and we would like you to carry our fish, and our fish costs this. Price is very much on the top of everyone's minds right now. So it's challenging when you have a product that costs more. The funny part is that our fish, I was looking at a price list this morning from a local company. Conventionally farmed trout is selling for more than our fish because so many people touch that fish before it gets to the person actually selling it. So everyone's adding their few percentage points. Because there's nobody in between us and the farm, we can price our fish competitively, and we can put it on people's menus without pricing them out of the game. So the farms that have shown interest have seen our success and want to follow that. The issue is they don't do the sales and marketing, and they're scared to take that leap of faith because they don't think their distributors are going to do a good enough job telling the story. And they're probably not wrong because the majority of seafood distributors don't seem to want to really tell the truth. It kind of gets in the way of making money.
Well, those were really all the questions that I had for you. But before I let you go, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Um, No, I just, support domestic seafood, support small boat fishermen, support intelligent aquaculture that can be here for generations to come, right? We only have this one planet, and the more damage we continue to do, the more we risk our demise. So when you can support local fishers, local products, seasonal consumption, letting our wild fisheries recover from the pressure that we put on them, and then get excited about the upcoming season. I think if we all do a little bit of that, our planet has a chance.
Kenny, thank you again so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
That is it for our show. Thank you so much for listening, and special thanks to Toontank for providing us with our theme song. Subscribe to Deep Dive on Apple Podcasts and Spotify to never miss an episode. And for any thoughts or suggestions for the podcast, feel free to email me at astange@divcom.com. We'll see you next time.